So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order on Tuesday, May 19, 2026 at 7 p.m. at Lebanon High School in the Herman B. Wells Community Center. The Board of School Trustees of the Lebanon Community School Corporation will hold a public hearing on the 2026 Campus Master Plan Project. The regular meeting will follow that public hearing. And we'll go ahead, or I guess we'll do our call for public meeting. So, Ms. Hutchinson, you want to do our public meeting for us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, all members are present, so we do have a quorum. Mr. Matlin, if you could please do us the honor of reading the mission statement.
Lebanon's Community School Corporation challenges everyone every day to reach a new best.
All right, I believe now we will be moving on to the hearing on amendment to the lease.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Clauser. Tonight we've got a hearing on amendment to our lease, which is a series of legal steps that actually culminate with the issuance of bonds for our 2026 athletics master plan that was approved earlier this year. Ultimately, the monies for this and the bonds will be sold later this year as we begin to embark on our design portion of the project. Prior to doing that, however, taking care of these four resolutions, which again culminate the legal process for issuing the bonds this evening. So prior to doing so, I believe any comments from the public may be heard for anyone who has signed up and wishes to speak. No one signed up, so we do have four separate resolutions. We'll explain each one of these and then take action after each explanation of the four. So the first is Exhibit A, which is a resolution authorizing the execution of the amendment to the lease. So two financing mechanisms that public school corporations have in Indiana. One is the school corporation incurring the debt itself in the form of general obligation bonds. There is a maximum amount of indebtedness that a public school corporation can undertake. It's relatively small number in the grand scheme of things. And so this other option is where a building corporation is leased a portion of our real estate, and that real estate then is tied to the bonds as collateral. And so this first exhibit is authorizing, having the school board authorizing the amendment to this lease states that the payments are fair and market value for said real estate for these particular projects. So I can answer any questions on that resolution, but otherwise appreciate the board's action.
Any questions at this time? If I could get a motion to approve Exhibit A, the resolution authorizing execution of the amendment to the lease as provided in our briefing notes.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right.
Thank you. Exhibit B is a resolution reapproving the building corporation. So the Lebanon Middle School Building Corporation is the legal entity that leases the real estate, and this is the school board's recognition of said building corporation as the entity that undertakes that lease.
Any question on Exhibit B as provided in our briefing notes? Take a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Exhibit C.
Exhibit C is a resolution assigning construction bids and contracts once received, and that is to the building corporation, as it is the building corporation that will be receiving said monies and not technically the school corporation. The contracts for the construction for said project ultimately are the building corporations to pay. So the school corporation, myself, will be receiving those bids and going through all the proper legal steps to procure those bids, but the school corporation is not who will be paying for these. It is the building corporation. And so this is the school board's acknowledgement that those contracts will be assigned to the building corporation once we receive them.
Questions from the board regarding Exhibit C? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And last, Exhibit D.
Yep, Exhibit D is the mouthful. Resolution approving the 13th supplement to Master Continuing Disclosure Undertaking. A Master Continuing Disclosure Undertaking is a fancy series of 4 words that states that there are certain compliance items that we have to keep up with every year. And this is our acknowledgement that we will agree to submit those compliance items.
Questions from the board? I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve Exhibit D as outlined.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right. I believe that that's everything for this, so I'll go ahead and close the hearing, and then we'll be moving on and opening up our regular meeting. This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible, and any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. With that, we'll move to the approval of minutes from the April 21st, 2026 regular meeting and certify the executive content from the April 21st, 2026 executive meeting. Can I get a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
Any comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and I believe that takes us to board recognitions.
Thank you. I'll slide over here.
Perfect.
Thank you, President Clauser. This evening for our board recognitions, we want to honor our third class, right? Our third class of Tiger Community Ambassadors, a group of community members, parents who have joined us for 7 or 8 sessions now throughout the school year to learn about the inner workings of public school corporations, in particular Lebanon Community School Corporation. And it's not lost on, I know, the 5 of you and any of us, how important it is for us to have community ambassadors who understand the operations of school districts at a deeper level. We do go into the weeds with this group a little bit. We talk about the intricacies of financing. I don't know if we use the terms from this hearing this evening in quite that detail, but we do go pretty deep into school finance, curriculum, special education, federal mandates, state mandates, food service, buildings and grounds, transportation, all of the aspects of the school corporation, so that when these folks are out and about in our community, they can speak factually and accurately about the things that go on in our school corporation. We've appreciated all 3 classes of Tiger Community Ambassadors because, first of all, they apply to be part of it. Not everybody who applies, it makes it in. We do cap the number of participants because we want to make sure that we have time to answer questions. And they do ask us tough questions, and that's good. That's what we want. We want those tough questions. We want to be able to dig deep and answer those and address maybe myths and misconceptions that might be out there. And then we also learn from them, and we learn the pulse of our community and what's important. So it's a two-way street. It's a super important thing that we do. It's part of our community engagement, which is one of our 4 key systems here in the district, as you know. So it's super important for us to do that. So we'd like to honor them tonight. Ms. Buis is going to read their names, and they'll come forward. We have a little plaque for them. I see some of them are wearing their cool, newly designed quarter zips that we purchased for all of them as well. And we'll have them stay up here for a minute. And then I told them that 1 or 2 of them is going to speak about their experiences at Tiger Community Ambassadors, but I didn't tell them ahead of time who they are, and I still don't know. So I'm going to hand the microphone to 1 or 2 of them here and let them talk about their experiences as well. So I'll turn over the microphone.
Kristen Batts. Crystal Bradbury. Casey Forsyth. Brenda Francis. Crystal Hilderman, which I don't believe is here tonight. She may be late. She may be coming in. Joshua Hussam. Did I say that? Justin Holloman. Jennifer Mays. And Shelby Swales. And Carrie Tallman.
Once again, we certainly appreciated their participation, and I know that the board enjoys hearing a couple thoughts from the group. And so after the picture, we'll hand the microphone to a couple of them. Sure.
He voted. I Justin was supposed to say.
I wasn't let in on that.
We were able to get like a broad overview of the administrative team at LCSC and how they kind of impact our kids and the community. It was pretty enlightening because like what you hear in the media and all of that is never the truth, which some people take it as the truth and it's not always that way. So I've had a lot of conversations with community members, family members already about like, oh, that's actually not true. And just kind of putting the truth out there and giving them the resources that we get in the meetings to spread the actual reality of what is public schools. And then it's just made me really proud to be able to have one kid in middle school and my youngest is starting kindergarten in the fall at Central. So
Thanks, Kristen.
I guess I was voted. I was late to the last meeting, and this is what I got. Can't say a whole lot more than Kristen did, but not that we all don't have an appreciation for what the school does and what you guys do, but it's much broader now. I can't tell you how many conversations that I have started after our gatherings and meetings. Just being blown away by some of the information we got during our sessions, if you will. But we still talk about a lot of them to this day. Thoroughly enjoyed the school visits, especially getting to come here and see my two oldest. The oldest who's graduating here shortly. So, they were. My middle schoolers were not so much, or at least the girl. But got to step in some classrooms and see the teachers in action, which was very cool. A lot different from when I was here and graduated in 01. Made it quite the learning experience just in our 10-minute ventures in each of the classrooms. Enough that I'm still curious about Mr. Worse's class and where that ended up, but I might have to catch him at soccer and have him follow up on it. But thanks again.
We appreciate you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you again to all of you for attending and participating.
Sure can if you want to.
If you guys want, I know that the rest of the meeting is sure to be a real page turner if you want to stick around, but we'll give you a couple seconds if you need to get out of here.
Sure, kids want to sit and watch.
Yeah. Thanks again.
All right, let's break up free ice cream.
All right, as they're kind of filtering out, I think that's going to take us on to our informational items. So construction renovation updates.
Superintendent announcements from.
Oh, sorry, superintendent announcement. I was
That's
trying to
okay.
skip
I don't have too many this evening, but I do have a few student recognitions, so I'll make sure I get those in there. You have these, of course, in your background notes board, but wanted to congratulate here publicly our own Jason Gerard, who was selected by the IHSAA as a member of the 26-27 Student Advisory Committee. This is no small feat. This is a kind of a big deal. There's a long application process. There's an interview process. And so students are selected, obviously, from all over the state of Indiana to serve as an advisory board, student advisory board, to the IHSAA. So it's quite impressive for us to have a representative from Lebanon High School on that board. As you can see, he's not the first as well. So we have a lot of impressive young men and women and student athletes here over the years. And Mr. Levine has listed the former members as well. So congratulations to him. You might also note, as long as we're on the IHSAA topic, that recently there was a rule passed that has to do with personal branding activities within the IHSAA. I know you and the community may have ongoing questions with that. I think that we all do. What we do know from that rule is that students are able to earn personal dollars from their name, image, and likeness, but the way the IHSAA rule is written cannot be branding the school or their uniform they wear here, etc. We'll see how that plays out in reality here over the next several months and years. But it's something we're keeping an eye on, obviously. We want our kids to remain eligible. So, Mr. Guest, I think I may have shared with the board that new athletic director, Chad Guest, has circulated some infographics to our parents and to our student athletes early to let them know what's allowed and what's not allowed to keep them out of trouble, so to speak. So, if you have questions about those over the next several months, please reach out. We'll try to do our best to answer those questions. You may recall that Jake Eggers presented an Eagle Scout project in front of the board several board meetings ago, and there's some images in your background notes of his completed project, and it looks fantastic with the new benches at the tennis courts. Not only our parents watching matches, but our community members that use those courts will be able to use those, and obviously quite a nice transformation of the utility shed there as well, the improvements that he's made. So we appreciate his effort. Just this week, Mrs. Lewis, our Director of Student Services here at the high school, shared some advanced placement data with me. So I added that this week as well. We just completed our advanced placement testing with some record numbers. 271 students took 538 advanced placement exams. I was not among those. I'm not an AP alum, but that's quite impressive for us to have that many students and that many exams being taken this school year. So congratulations to their efforts. As I've shared with the board, that's a number that continues to climb and rise, and we are adding additional AP courses starting next school year as well. So we look forward to that continuing. Also, I wanted to congratulate our senior class. I was at the Student Awards program 2 weeks ago, and Mr. Meyer had announced that this senior class was awarded over $1.6 million in various awards, and that does not include, that number he pointed out did not include awards that the universities we're awarding within the colleges that the students may be attending. So these could be 2-year trade school awards. These could be 4-year college awards. So various pursuits of the seniors were awarded that evening, but 1.6 million is a pretty impressive number. Of course, Lebanon Educational Foundation eclipsed, I think, 110,000 this year in scholarships, and that number continues to rise as well. And we appreciate their ongoing support of our students. And finally, I will share with you, the board's been aware that I've been reaching out to the town of Whitestown and the city of Lebanon to gauge their interest in holding a joint work session with the school board, with you all. And both have responded to my office now in the affirmative that they would like to do that. So just keep an eye on your text messages from Mel and your emails from her in the coming weeks as we try to nail down an acceptable date that the 3 governing boards can meet in a joint work session. I think it's very important, certainly in the light of Senate Enrolled Act 1. We all know that that's having various effects on revenue, whether it be a municipality or a school district. We also will be able to present hot off the press the latest 10-year enrollment forecast for McKibben Demographics. Dr. McKibben has offered to potentially attend that meeting. So if it pleases the board, we may reach out to him and see if he's available to actually come to Indiana and present his findings. Much like the Tiger Community Ambassadors, it's a great way for us to present facts to the municipalities and them to present facts to us. While there are similarities in the way our financial picture works and financing works, there's some definite differences as well. I think it's important for all of those entities to know that so that we can continue to work positively together. So be looking for that probably mid-summer, mid to late summer maybe. We'll shoot for those dates, but I wanted to share with the board. I'm very pleased that they're willing to do that, and we'll be looking forward to that. That's all I have for my announcements this evening.
All right. Thank you for those. Now I guess we'll throw it over to informational items for the construction updates.
Yeah, so exciting times are ahead, embarking into the summer. A lot of times, really, the beginning of school kind of marks the turning over of some construction phases, but the ending of this particular school year signifies a few pretty drastic turnovers. The first of which is the Student Activity Center. Happy to report that for all intents and purposes, the interior of that is complete, and that space will be a game changer for this community and for this school corporation. Coach Vaughn has the first scheduled activity in there. We've got the girls basketball camp starting June 1st in there. I may need to volunteer to sit at the registration table because I would like to see these young ladies and their families walk into this space for the first time. I can't stress enough how the exterior does not do the interior justice in terms of the size of that space. I may be using my title and position to claim that I'm making the first free throw in that facility. I will not communicate how many free throw attempts it takes me to convert on the first free throw, but nonetheless, I may or may not have that scheduled right now. The other big turnover sort of at the end of the school year, we've already punched the administrative side of the old central, and eventually this community, the school corporation is going to have to, I think, come to the reality of we need to call that central office and preschool, but most people still know it as the old central. But we've punched the administrative side of that, and remember that's about 35% of the square footage of that overall footprint. But on Thursday, we are punching the preschool side, and as that will be the final punch, assuming everything looks good and looks good to the fire marshal, I expect to receive our certificate of occupancy for that facility. And so I know Ms. Ball is going to be sending an email out to the school corporation, but Monday, June 8th will be the first full working day for the folks at the admin center, now central office. Again, paying homage to that building. It's called the administration center right now. It's going to change to central office as a take on the old Central Elementary. But should anybody arrive at the admin center at 1810 North Grant on Monday, June 8th, they will be met with no one there, as we will all be at the new office. But throughout the summer, obviously, is a huge time for construction due to the unoccupied nature of our buildings. And so Hattie B. Stokes and Lebanon Middle School, as well as the front office at Lebanon High School, will be heavily trafficked by construction workers as they race to complete their summer scope before students come back. So all I have in the way of construction renovation updates.
Okay. So then I think it takes us to, well, first of all, very exciting to finally be getting into some of these buildings and opening the doors to the activity center. Super excited to see everybody enjoying those spaces. Now I guess we'll move on to our construction manager as constructor for the athletics master plan project.
Yeah, so a little bit of some legal requirements actually for this process. So up until now, we have utilized the delivery method known as construction manager's agent, or CMA, for our projects. State of Indiana considers that a professional service, and therefore we can just name who we want to work with in that regard. What that particular procurement method involves is we have a contractual agreement with the construction manager, but we hold the contract for all the prime contractors themselves. And that then means that we get a billing every month from each one of those. And since all of our projects have been CMA until now, at the heart of all this, we were receiving 50 plus pay applications a month, and it becomes cumbersome. But a relatively new procurement method in Indiana that school corporations can utilize, and I say that the late 20 teens is when construction manager as constructor was approved as a procurement method for public school corporations. And really the difference for this is the construction manager is the constructor. The title is what it is. We will not hold the contracts with the people who will be performing the work. The construction manager will be holding that contract. So we are going to take those billings all the way down to one. Well, two, I suppose. The architect will bill us every month as well. But we will receive one very large billing instead of multiple less large billings each month. But this is not considered a professional service. And so we have to execute a request for proposals, an RFP. It's an acronym that I throw around a lot that I understand not everybody knows. So a request for proposal process. And we had 10 respond, which is an excellent turnout. And it shows the interest that these statewide and sometimes national, in some cases national companies had in our projects. And I'm excited to announce that tonight. In the background notes, you see the score sheet, and that is a representation of the aggregate scores from myself, Dr. Milliman, Mr. John Triller, our Director of Facilities, and then Mr. Parks. And then additionally, you'll see a narrative that I wrote to the board, a memo that I wrote to the board that details ultimately how we came about our decision. And so without any further ado, I present to the board the choice of the committee, which is Meyer Najum Construction. We really felt that in their proposal, they had a documented history of success with very similar work to what we will be doing. And so specifically, we feel the real pinch points of this renovation, number one is our pool. We are not building a new pool. We are modifying our existing pool tub. And what Meyer Najum did a great job in their response of is documenting where they have done this in previous clients of their own. Again, other responses were fantastic and documented their construction of pools, but not necessarily modification of existing pool tubs. We also have some pretty significant site work that will take place north of Lebanon Middle School that's going to involve some drainage and certainly some uncovering of some old field tiles and things like that. Meyer Najum has previously documented that with other school corporations, but really with ours as well. They've been in the field that the current Central Elementary is in, dealing with the very same things that they'll be dealing with over there at north of the middle school. The other thing that we feel that they did very well was propose a staffing model that we feel brings attention to the amount of scope that we have here. Various strategies exist in the world of construction to make fees more and less approachable, and it simply comes down to people. How many people are you going to dedicate to the job? And the amount of people that Meyer Najum dedicated to the job in their proposal was in line with what we feel is necessary to make a successful project occur. And then last but certainly not least, the timeline for the completion of these projects is included in the document that requests for proposals. So we give that timeline. But that doesn't mean that the respondents cannot reimagine that timeline. So it was a 26-month timeline that ultimately begins in March of 2027 that was communicated to the respondents. 9 of the 10 used that timeline, that 26-month timeline. However, Meyer Najum reimagined that timeline to complete the work in 20 months, a half a year sooner than the other 9. That utilizes or allows our community to utilize these facilities 6 months sooner than they would have. But more importantly, every month when we receive billings from our, in this case, prime contractors, but in the case of the CMC arrangement, a subcontractor of the construction manager, they receive general conditions. This is what it costs for us to occupy your site every day. This is what it costs for us to rent your trailer for a month. The aggregate of 6 months of general conditions that don't exist represents more than $430,000 in savings. And when you take that into consideration with the fees, Meyer Najum becomes very competitive with the overall fees that everyone proposed. So Mike Luce is here this evening, the Executive Vice President of Meyer Najum, in charge of their K-12 suite. He didn't know until about 38 minutes ago that he probably needed to say a little something. I thought he just maybe was going to be here and just be supportive, but I encouraged him to come speak to the board on behalf of Meyer Najum and their award of this tonight.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you. We've got an opportunity to know each other over the past 4 years, and I'm just so excited to be able to continue the legacy of Lebanon Schools via Meyer Najum. Your guys' facilities that we are building are excellent and they're top notch. And what you guys are providing for your community is wonderful, and I'm very excited to be part of it. So I just want to thank you guys. And if you guys have any questions, you all have the ability to get hold of me. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excited
Let's get to work.
to, yeah. All right. I think that takes us on to the first reading of the policy update, specifically our cell phone policy 5136
Yes.
and the facility rental policy 7510.
Yes, I don't usually spend a lot of time talking about the first reading, but I would like to touch on these briefly for the board, these two policies. 7510, the current policy contained a lot of detail, including the amounts of fees for each of the facilities, the types of groups, classifications of groups, the definitions of those classifications of groups, that may wish to use our facilities at various times. Much of that, we hope the board agrees, should exist in administrative guidelines, whereas the board policy provides permission for us to use those facilities, overarching requirements for that. But as we know, costs of operating buildings can change. Sometimes they can change rapidly. So it's a little bit more efficient for that type of detail to exist in administrative guidelines. So we'll keep the board abreast of that work as well, because as Mr. Dennis pointed out, here just in a few weeks, we'll be opening a quite impressive large facility that's going to gain traction in our community as far as folks wanting to use that space, but we have ongoing spaces that are continuously being used as well. So Mr. Dennis, Mr. Martin, that team, along with me, of course, we're digging into the weeds a bit and making necessary changes, but we need to be a little more nimble and get that detail into guidelines so that we can move more quickly. So wanted to point that out to the board that we're not changing a policy. We're not removing the ability to use our facilities. Quite the contrary, we're really trying to make it a better system for everyone. As far as the cell phone policy 5136, we are required to have a policy in place by July 1st. The last legislative session does require all public schools to prohibit the use of cell phones by students for the entire instructional day. And our policies and handbooks need to reflect that new law. So this policy is updated with those new requirements. You also have in your background notes a Q&A document that will go out to staff this week and a Q&A document that will go out to parents this week. We teased that a bit in my end of the year update, which you all received as well through Parent Square. We felt it would be best to send out the cell phone Q&A as a separate mailing so that it didn't get buried in a large newsletter. And I didn't know that there was going to be a signing by the governor at, where was that, Whiteland High School or Clark Pleasant. And so there's been a lot of media since we sent the newsletter out to parents. So the timing will be good. I intend to send this Q&A out on Friday to the parents. We have an administrative meeting tomorrow, so I want one more look from the principals and assistant principals on that document. But it will be a change, and it will be one that will not necessarily be received well by some folks, especially those in grades 6 through 12 that may be used to getting their phones out at lunchtime or during passing periods. That will no longer be available to them. So these Q&A documents outline what those responsibilities are, how we're planning to address that. But this is the first step for us. So the first reading in May, second reading in June, we'll have it in place by July. But happy to answer any questions you may have on your mind about cell phones or facilities at this time.
I don't think I have anything. I think the Q&A is going to be very beneficial for a lot of parents. I know I've had a lot of parents concerned already, so I think that'll be helpful to get out there and maybe explain why this is coming to be and what it looks like practically.
Yeah, you might have picked up, I think, that multiple times I've said it's the law. And we really don't have a choice as a public school. We have to follow the law. So if there are folks who have concerns, then there are avenues to folks who pass laws that they need to chat with.
Any other questions, comments on that? Okay. I think that takes on to our consent agenda, staff matters, classified.
Yes, just for the board's consideration this evening, we have a number of classified staff, as well as certified staff, retirements, resignations, and new hires. 'Tis the season here soon. In the next 2 months, you'll see the flurry of that. And then potentially at your June meeting, I'll be bringing that annual request to the board, giving me authority on your behalf to pull the trigger on hiring over the summer months, so that we don't lose out on some of the best talent in the area. So we'll be looking for that. That really comes to play mostly in the certified side of things. Then, of course, we have the ECA stipends as well for your considerations, some resignations and new hires here for upcoming seasons.
Okay. With that, any questions from the board? I can take a motion to approve classified, certified, and ECA as outlined in our background notes. I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, consent agenda business matters.
Thank you, Mr. Klauser. As always, the 3 documents that I provide as a financial update each month, would like to briefly dive into the April 2026 expense chart, just mainly to bring something to the board's attention regarding a supply. So the 600 line you can see is running nearly identical to the way it did last year. I bring this up. This is the time of year that we generally enter into our diesel fuel purchase agreement for the following year. Due to current global economic situations, the proposed lock price that I could get as of right now is nearly double the price per gallon that we were able to lock for last year. Not willing to do that right now, and I am considering multiple options, perhaps a short-term lock that maybe would get us through September or October in the hopes that the market gets better. There are other strategies such as purchasing some amount on a fixed basis and purchasing some amount on a market basis at that time. So really just wanted to bring that to our attention. We've been very fortunate on diesel fuel really for the last 3 years. However, again, current global economic situations are affecting really our ability to determine our budget for diesel fuel for the next school year. We purchase that on an August to May basis. We get 1 drop per month. We can hold 10,000 gallons in our tank, and that gets us through a month of school days. Our May drop always gets us through the June and July months, so that's why we don't contract for 12, we contract for 10. So just alerting the board that depending on how things go, we're going to find ourselves painted into a corner here awfully quickly. But again, if we find ourselves in, I will not purchase at market for August. But a lock perhaps for August, September, October, something like that we may do. But again, this time is normally the time where we're good for another year. But the volatility in the market right now is not conducive to doing that. Any other questions on the financial update, however?
Anything from the board? All right.
Hearing none, I'll read the claims then for the board's approval. So 3 payrolls on this particular docket, including 1 payroll correction, which was an oversight of the omission of vacation day payout for a particular employee. So 3 payrolls and 1 payroll correction that totals $3,760,453.32. Claims for that same time period, $1,881,923.14. Total claims and payroll for the time period, $5,642,376.46. Appreciate the board's consideration.
You've done real good at that.
I feel confident.
Yeah. I'll make that motion to approve the claims and payrolls.
All right, can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, any comments from the public? All right, moving on to our action items. Dr. Dennis?
Thank you. Change orders, as always, leading off for us this month. A few notable ones. Again, 2 of the buildings. This is the month that we reconcile the cost for the temp heat that our mechanical contractor took care of us on at the high school and the middle school. Also a notable credit from Meyer Najum at the middle school. They had a particular staffing scenario that involved a staff member serving in the National Guard and therefore unable to render services to us. So grateful for them for crediting out that staffing cost for the last year, quite honestly. Few other credits, again, that pertain to the athletics project that we were talking about earlier. There was quite a bit of concrete and site scope that was associated with beautifying where the eventual weight room will go. Does not make sense to do that site work and install that concrete to rip it out 9 months later. And so you do see 2 rather large credits from our general contractor and our paving site work contractor at the high school for that. And then a few particular changes that will take place at the admin center central office as we work towards buttoning that up. So appreciate the board's action on those change orders for this month.
Any questions over the change orders? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That takes us then to, sorry, I lost my place here. Takes us to our cooperative purchasing for food service.
Thank you, Mr. Klauser. This is a requirement that we must do for our food service program should we wish to purchase any amount of food from a purchasing cooperative. We utilize one that's known as Click, and so this action item is your approval of us purchasing food on a cooperative purchasing arrangement with Click.
Right. Any questions over that as outlined in our briefing notes? I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Stokes serving line bid.
Thank you, Mr. Klauser. We have 2. In fact, we'll get to the high school in a second. Serving lines are just the items, the food service equipment that you would work your way through as you purchase items. Those, of course, need replaced every so often. We have to go through, in the similar way that we do with construction, an invitation for bids, and this is the result of doing so. You see in your background notes that we had looks like 4 participants for the Stokes serving line bid, with the low bid being skirt for food service equipment in the amount of $99,117.04. This is purchased from the food service budget, and this is a requirement to utilize our cash balance in that fund. And one of those appropriate utilizations is the capital acquisition of replacement equipment.
All right, any questions on that? Take a motion to approve the Stokes serving line bid.
I'll make that motion.
Take a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, high school serving line bid.
Same situation with the high school, 3 participants this time. Again, skirt food service equipment was the low on this in the amount of $199,893.32.
I'll take a motion to approve the skirt bid.
Make a
for the
motion.
high school. All right, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I think that's then, oh, no, professional service agreement with Fitzsimmons.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Clauser. This arose out of an audit finding, and many school corporations have found themselves in a situation now where the State Board of Accounts is much more particular on the balance of our prepaid lunch fund. So that is basically where parents would deposit money for their students to utilize over the course of days or weeks, and then that money is then transferred when they purchase that lunch into the food service fund. Those 2 funds are supposed to be in utter agreement with one another. Not that they were in utter disagreement with one another, but to the cent they are not. And so this agreement allows this individual, this entity, I should say, to help us get this resolved, we will say. So it's a situation, again, that many school corporations have found themselves in. And once we get it, we can then obviously continue and maintain it ourselves. But finding the discrepancies have proven to be a challenge that we need some help with.
Questions from the board? All right, I'll take a motion to approve the professional services agreement with Fitzsimmons.
I'll make that motion.
And I get a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Dr. Milliman, summer school.
Thank you. Staffing for summer school certainly has changed over the years as reimbursement for summer school has continued to dwindle from the state of Indiana. So we are limited to in-person summer school for our 3rd grade and iRead students, 2nd grade iRead students. That's about it. Most everything else is online, but any of the courses that you would see reflected in your background notes, like to thank Dr. Ottinger for her work with principals, Mrs. Inman, her work with principals, and Dr. Ottinger to prepare this for you this evening. So this is a staffing request for summer school 2026.
Questions? All right, I'll make the motion to approve the staffing request for summer school 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That then takes us on to our second or Lebanon Library appointment.
Kendra Whipke would like to continue as the board's representative on the library board. If you are in the affirmative this evening, that can happen.
I'll go ahead and make that motion to approve Ms. Whipke's appointment.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? And this will be our last 4th and final term, you said? Yes. Okay.
So says Melanie, so says us all.
Okay, I think that takes us to our second reading of policy updates.
Yes, this is the large batch that you reviewed in your first reading last meeting, just in time for the next large batch to arrive in my inbox just a week ago. So we'll have some more heading your way, but respectfully request your approval of the second reading policies.
Questions on the second reading of policy updates? Okay, we'll take a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. IXL software.
IXL is academic software that helps our students both in language arts and mathematics. It meets students where they are, customizes their lessons, if you will, targets where they need work. Also can be used to help accelerate students who might need that acceleration. It's quite a comprehensive software package used across the country, and has been proven to be successful. Certainly our ML students, helping them access language arts, again, meeting them at their level, giving them the practice that they need. And so we've been piloting this this year with success in all 6 buildings. So our elementaries and middle schools using it the heaviest. So this contract, while large in front of you, is one that will be used by the majority of our students to help them. And again, it helps students at all levels. So we have students that are operating at the 6th grade level and 3rd grade. Helps that student access that material as well. We are proposing to utilize our Medicaid dollars for this, even though it is helping our classrooms. So this is not going to impact our education fund as well. So we felt like this was certainly something that's helping our students, especially those in special needs who may need some of that more targeted academic support. So it was a very applicable use of those funds. And so respectfully for the curriculum department, I'd like to thank again Dr. Ottinger, Mrs. Inman, our principals for really digging in, and teachers, of course, for using this and giving us good feedback, because it is a relatively large purchase. And so we do not enter into this lightly. We want to make sure it's going to be used. It's a several-year agreement, as you see. And so we thank all of the buildings, classrooms, administrators for helping us with this purchase. But respectfully ask your approval of the IXL contract.
And is this software, is this replacing anything, or is this essentially a new function that will provide, or a new service?
Essentially new. I think we've had drips and drabs, if you will, of software. This is the first time that it will be done in a comprehensive use like this. There's different platforms, language arts. There's a program called Lexia, for example. We've used Lexia from time to time, but it has been more targeted in certain grade levels or in certain settings. This is the first time that a comprehensive software package that includes lessons, really primarily language arts and mathematics, that we brought to the board, that it would kind of be across the board in all grades.
You would agree that this grows with the students?
The question is, do you agree if this grows with the students? I would say yes, as it has to. So piggyback on that just a little bit, something that's new in the last year and a half are the iLearn checkpoints to our students. And if you have students in middle school, you know what we're talking about. It is not, the checkpoints are not necessarily comprehensive. They're targeted to a certain set of standards. So it gives our teachers feedback on students' strengths and or weaknesses within those particular standards. So what IXL does is it takes that data, and then the teacher can build lessons directly from those iLearn checkpoints performance to target the students' areas that they need to perform in. And then of course the same would be for PSAT, because it would show the trajectory of that student and then give them practice on the type of questions that they need to be better on to be successful. So I think that's a yes to your question. Yep.
Answers my question. Yes, thank you.
All right, excellent. Any other questions? All right, I'll take a motion to approve the IXL contract.
I'll make a motion.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, and last but not least, our 26-27 base contract with Mental Health America, Boone County.
I have, excuse me, I proposed the pretty much base contract from last year with very minor date changes and references to pre-K removed because they won't be doing pre-K through this contract. If they do any pre-K, it'll just be Perry Worth. We'll be back with an agreement for that. More information will be there. The pre-K last year or current year is the program that Mental Health America runs. So that's the changes that are in here.
Okay, so any additional pre-K base may be coming with a separate addendum to this down the road.
Exactly.
Where
We're looking for enrollment and needs first
Okay.
before we know whether we need to do an agreement or not.
Okay.
That would be just Perry Worth that's being considered.
Correct. Any other questions from the board on that?
I just see that now it's called Wanton Land as opposed to base, which will be hard for me to not ever call it that, but
It takes a lot of
it does. I assume providing the same things you've been doing, maybe just enhanced.
Well, I wouldn't say the same. I think we're enhancing the program considerably. You know, the idea behind launching training is that we're bringing the kids that can launch training to that they are welcoming and academic success. And then the school programs to come back to us and really give them the behavior, occupation, the way that they're going to come back. They're fresh and maybe we've also added speakers that we bring in basically for people to work with and learn those things because kids can make it now, right? So we provide programs, we provide robotics, reading, different, you know, we have to get the parents to not pick their children, believe it or not, come to us and pick up a 4 or 5 for the left and that one was camping. But they'll pick up randomly, so we, you know, the little bit more of programs and we have to talk to them not quick enough. But we enhance what we provide, and we will do so even more next year with the STEM, following on some of the programs in the school, like the developer 3 years, making chances to prepare for the next study that we so.
Anything else? All right, with that, I will make the motion to approve the 26-27 base contract with Mental Health America, Boone County.
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so I think that does it. We're going to have May 29th, the high school graduation. So congratulations to all those kids who are going to be walking across the stage and getting their diploma on next Friday. And then we'll be back here June 16th for an executive session at 6 p.m. and our regular board meeting here at Herman B. Wells at 7 p.m.
We do have 2 more dates to share with you. Just prior to the meeting this evening, we were nailing down another groundbreaking of the road extension from John Bart Road to Grant Street. Although it is not a very long stretch of road, it is an important stretch of road. And so we felt like we wanted to celebrate that, get some social media on that from our platforms because it is going to be a game changer for some folks to access that campus from a more efficient way, faster way, although not too fast. We're still contemplating speed bumps. That's to be determined later.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. But we are going to be doing groundbreaking on the morning of June 9th. That's a Tuesday morning. So just tickling that for you. And we will be doing a ribbon cutting at central office, Dr. Dennis, and the preschool on August 4th. And that will happen in the late afternoon, early evening, be coordinated around our ice cream socials. We'll be celebrating that. It'll be an open house for the community as well that evening. So for anyone wanting to see the renovated space and completed space, August 4th is the date to circle on your calendar for that.
All right, excellent. With that, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting.